Gentlemen, it's your brother Bolo VNR, and in this one we have Mr. Raymond Pryce on Beyond the
Talk about this. This is an
Headlines.
issue.
On Beyond the Headlines with Dionne Jackson Miller. Let's hear this clip on what they had. What was the discussion? This is my raw reaction. I've never heard this. I'm about to listen. It says, "Is government using public funds to run JLP's political ad campaign?" Very good question. Let's go.
What they're calling campaign ads, what I'm saying certainly raises concern as well. On July 2, but quite a few other people have quietly reached out to me and said, hey, on the need to talk about this. This is an issue. It needs to be discussed. Obviously, this is a problem that needs to be addressed. I'm saying that to say we do have a representative of the People's National Party joining us now, Raymond Pryce, caretaker for East Central St. Catherine. But I'm saying it in that way because, you know, something I say on this program all the time. The JLP and PNP thinks they're them one in a country. In reality, there are many people who don't align to either party. That does not mean people don't have concerns about the political process, criticism, recommendations for reform, and this is one that was raised. But Mr. Pryce, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
And I appreciate Dionne Jackson Miller stating that because I am really how should I put it? I'm really frustrated at people that think that because there's two main political parties that most of the Jamaicans are not feeling none of the parties. Right now the PNP is galvanizing back their base. You know, a lot of people took a step back in the last general election and they just never voted. Some of them never voted in their lives and they don't plan to. But what the PNP has done great now is put belief back in the people, and people that have never voted are ready to vote. And they are ready to vote out and join us. So let's continue.
Thank you, Dionne. Good evening to you and your listeners.
So the JLP's Marlon Morgan says this is not so. He's denying that there is any credence should be given to these particular concerns. I don't know if you were able to listen into the interview.
Yes, I listened. And the main takeaway that I have from what the senator said, and I quote, "There is a natural advantage of government with respect to resources of the various ministries, departments, and agencies." I find the phrase natural advantage to actually confirm the concern that has been raised by.
So, Marlon Morgan basically tell the people, them say, yes, we are using our natural advantage to advertise us and campaign for us in the next general election through using the people's tax dollars. Mighty God. That's embarrassing.
Embarrassing. He needs some milk.
He cutely confirmed, in my opinion. I share the same opinion as Mr. Raymond Pryce. Let me play that back again. Very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Wow.
To listening to the interview?
Yes, I listened. And the main takeaway that I have from what the senator said, and I quote, "There is a natural advantage of government with respect to resources of the various ministries, departments, and agencies." I find the phrase natural advantage to actually confirm the concern that has been raised by the wider society, as you mentioned. Other persons outside of the People's National Party have raised it with you. And I think in that phrase, as I would say, the devil is in the detail, that we have identified the detail and therefore the devil. Because democracy understands that there will be an election and there are always going to be a government and only one government at a time. However, to have a representative from the upper house representing the government confirm that public resources are being used for a, quote, natural advantage, end quote, even if all we in the People's National Party had was a concern or a suspicion, Senator Marlon Morgan has confirmed that those suspicions are accurate. And there's a difference between an advertisement and a public service announcement. There is an original responsibility for government to communicate. I give some examples of things that in this period, in this period you'd expect the government to communicate on. We've had unseasonal heat. We have an aging population. If an public service announcement had come from the office of the Prime Minister reminding persons over 70 to hydrate and to have at least 8 ounces of water every 3 hours, then no one could accuse OPM or any other ministry, department or agency of being biased. So that is one aspect of what I would like to say. And if the rehydrate scenario is not acceptable, we're more than a month into the hurricane season, and we have not heard from ODPEM or from the Ministry of Local Government or from the Office of the Prime Minister any reminders about what people should be doing, pruning trees and stuff like that. So I take the point Mr. Morgan makes that government has a role in terms of public communication. I won't mention the bell ringing because I think the defensive approach to the response from Mr. Morgan confirms that he knows that nobody outside of him, even within his own party, will accept that a bell ringing at an engagement makes it or gives it a political flavor.
Here's the thing though, Mr. Pryce, because for instance, a colleague messaged me and said JLP itself in the past has complained about similar things done by PNP governments, and I am admittedly quite cynical about concerns raised by parties while in opposition when they did nothing to deal with the situation while in government. Yeah. So the question would be, we hear y'all bawling because you're on the wrong side of this right now. And then you get into office, and then what happens? We say the same thing. So are we hearing a city statement from the PNP saying it's demanding an audit of all government-funded ads, it's calling on Jamaica to reject what is happening, and on rejecting, slamming government reckless spending, and it goes on and on. But why do you not go further and commit to a position that if PNP forms government again, what action they would take to ensure that we don't have these concerns raised? Because otherwise it's just empty words.
Could I bring your attention to about a year ago? A concern was raised and a statement did come from the People's National Party, and then it was specific to social media. The scenario was that several ministers of government, when they're doing their regular minister work, would have excuse me a second.
If you're just joining us, this is Beyond the Headlines on Radio Jamaica 94 FM. I'm Dionne Jacksmilo. We're talking with Raymond Pryce of the People's National Party about concerns about ads funded by taxpayers' money, government ads that are essentially masquerading as campaign ads. Our WhatsApp line 876-254-0693. Give us your first name, give us your general location. Yes, Mr. Pryce. Sorry, I missed that. Yes, Mr. Pryce.
Yes. So the concern at the time was about ministers of government while out on their public duty, live streaming through their personal social media account. And of course, platforms like TikTok and YouTube monetize views. So the concern was, are government ministers and officials earning through the monetization of their social media from, say, for example, showing up at a town hall meeting to speak to the residents about different issues when we have, for example, the GIS and we have the private sector media houses. In that statement last year, a commitment was given that when in government, the People's National Party would have promulgated a social media policy. I would say now that even upon...
Because you know that has nothing to do with what I'm actually asking you, right?
I'm coming back to you now.
Okay.
So now we have the July 2 statement, and based on the declaration by Senator Morgan that government is using its natural advantage with access to public resources through the MDAs, the ministries, departments, and agencies, I will, after coming off this program, go back with the shadow cabinet, that statement July 2, the statement last year, social media policy, for a more comprehensive statement about when in government the People's National Party will promulgate a particular policy which will ensure that, especially this close out, there, you see, part of the issue is we don't have a fixed election date. So certainly there is a implied election date around, say, September 15. So if you count 6 months back or even 3 months back, that public resources will not be used in the manner that we have heard in the examples your station has played.
What you're saying now just underlines my point, which is that it's because I'm asking, you say, okay, let me go back and see if we can come up with a position. And I'm saying if you all were serious, this comment and criticism of what the government is now doing would have been accompanied by a policy proposed position. Does that sound right? Proposed policy position is probably better coming from the opposition. But so I mean, you might go back to your shadow cabinet now and then say, "Yeah, idiot, Raymond." When we go in office now, a full time. So
and I know they won't say that, and that's why I made reference to the previous one, September, that was specific to social media, and I think that we can expand that one. And the interesting thing is that if we put that in our manifesto, people will say if Dionne didn't ask Pryce this, and that would also be fine because the process is an evolving one. The other thing I'd like to mention is that the person that pointed out that the Jamaica Labour Party, when in opposition, had complained about the PNP doing that in the past. One of the references that came up when I prepared for this interview was during the process of renegotiating the IMF agreement, there were, in fact, government-sponsored media time where the Minister of Finance did a weekly interview updating people on the state of the economy. That, too, will have to come under review. The fact is, as the population evolves and looks at what is happening in other jurisdictions, they demand higher standards, and that is exactly what they should do. And we should respond to the demand for higher standards.
Have to leave it there. Appreciate your time.
Yes, so I appreciate what Dionne Jackson Miller said, because it's something that is pushing for change. I also appreciate how Mr. Raymond Pryce was very, very honest about all of the things that was said. He did not beat around the bush. He didn't try to be a PMP apologist, although he represents. Dionne Jackson Miller tried to suggest that, they're just gonna say, you're gonna go to them and they're gonna say, no man, you're mad, when we go in a power our time. And I can understand it coming from she having that position, because to be honest with you, over the years it kind of feels like that is how politics was. Once you're in there, it's like, you know what I mean? But it's a new day, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't know about you guys, but you can tell me in the comment section. I will be monitoring this particular thing very closely to see what the PNP comes up with in terms of policy, to make sure that no party that is in power can ever do what we believe the JLP is doing right now, which is using their natural advantage because they're in power to use public funds at the height of an election to put out ads and all of this that is pretty much campaigning for their own political campaign, to say, yes, we are the JLP, this is what we did, and that's why you should vote for us, using our tax dollars for that. It should not happen. It should not happen, right? They need to go raise funds, independent funds, and pay for them ads differently. Point blank, period. We have the healthcare system under crisis. The roads are under crisis. You understand? People's way of living is under crisis. Every sector is under crisis right now. under this government. Education is under crisis. We need all our monies, our tax dollars, public funds to be used in the benefit of us, the people. Alright? So the PMP has to respond, and I know they're going to respond, and I'm waiting to hear their response as to what policy, a serious policy, that they're going to put in play to make sure that this, nobody can do it. Not the PMP, not nobody. Alright, so I appreciate Dionne Jackson Miller for pressing that issue. And big up Mr. Raymond Pryce. You guys let me know what you guys think in the comment section for this particular reaction, ladies and gentlemen. And remember to go ahead and follow me on all platforms, Bolo VNR TPV, Bolo VNR Clips, Bolo VNR 2.0, and Bolo TBV. Alright? Alright.